Hello students, so welcome back for our geography class. We'll continue from where we had left. Yesterday we had done road transport. Okay, and today we will cover the remaining transports. Let's recall a little from the chapter that we had done yesterday about road transport. Let's recall about the advantages of roadways. Roadways are the harbingers of economic development. Harbingers means they are the ones which are very active. They are the ones who bring good news for development, economic development, because they are the ones who connect the cities to the places from where the goods are produced, be it goods, be it crops. They act as connectors to other modes of transport, right? So the main advantages of using road transport are: number one, it is through the roads that every village and hamlet can be reached. Every village, be it a small village or a hamlet is a big village where it's almost like a town, but there are very few houses. They are far away from the cities and towns. So it is only through roadways that we can reach such places. Neither the railways can reach there. And of course, only when there is great or dire necessity, only then airways is used, either to drop food supplies during the flood conditions or such other difficulties. Otherwise, it is the roadways who connect the villages and hamlets to the towns and cities. Secondly, construction cost of roads is much lower than that of the railway lines. The second advantage of roadways. Third advantage of roadways is that roads can be constructed even in the areas of difficult terrain and where railway lines do not exist, such as desert regions, such as mountainous regions. Okay, so roadways can be built on high mountains as well. Here railways are very difficult to operate. Roads offer door to door service and thereby reduce the cost of loading and unloading. Roads also help farmers to move their perishable products quickly to the markets, right? So another advantage of road is that it gives door to door service, right? You can unload goods right in front of your doorstep. If you have a shop, so goods can come directly to your shop through roadways, and farmers can move their perishable products safely and quickly to the markets with the help of roadways. Then the other advantage of roadways is the movement of goods is safer through road transport, as the chances of pilferage are lesser than in the railways. Pilferage means stocking of piles, piling up. Piling up is a big problem in the railways. Road transport supplements the other modes of transport. It provides link between the railway station and ports and the hinterlands. So even if you have to reach the airport, if you have to reach the seaports, if you have to reach the railway station, first you have to use roadways. So roadways act as a supplement mode of transport. They complement the other modes of transport. Then there are few disadvantages of roadways as well. So road transport has the following disadvantages. Number one, many roads are unsurfaced and therefore not suitable for regular vehicle traffic. Unsurfaced means they are not tarred, they have not been cemented, so they are fair weather roads. So at times during rainy season they are not very useful, or even in the dry season, the roads being bumpy, full of pebbles and stones, it becomes difficult to travel. Secondly, roads are not properly maintained. Poor road surfaces cause heavy loss in wear and tear of the vehicles. Thirdly, there are multiple checkposts, toll tax and octroi duties collection point on the roads, which bring down the speed of the traffic, waste time and cause irritation to the customers. Fourthly, many roads have inadequate capacity, weak pavement, unbridged level crossing and lack of wayside amenities and safety measures. Fifthly, the traffic on Indian roads, especially in the cities, is too high Further, same road is used by all types of vehicles: high speed cars, trucks, two wheelers, animal driven cars, cyclists, and even by animals. This increases traffic time and causes congestion, pollution, and road accidents. The second important mode of transport is railways, because the railways constitute the principal mode of transport for freight and passengers. Freight means goods, commodities. It brings together people from the furthest corners of the country for conducting business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, education, etc. Right? Railway was first introduced in India in 1853 when a line was constructed from Mumbai to Thane covering a distance of 34 kilometers. Since then, Indian Railways have grown into a vast network. By 1947, the year of India's independence, there were 42 railway systems. In 1951, the system was nationalized as one unit, becoming one of the largest networks in the world. Indian Railways operate both long distance and suburban rail systems. Based on the track system, the Indian Railways are divided into three categories: broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge. Advantages of railways. This is very important. Railways constitute one of the most efficient and cost effective forms of transportation. Railways help in the easy movement of bulky goods and perishable commodities to distant places. Railways transport raw materials to the production units and finished goods to the markets. Railways have brought the village closer to the cities and have helped to transfer new ideas and innovations to the rural areas. Railways help in the reducing of sufferings during natural calamities. Railways act as an integrating force, knitting the whole country into one whole with its huge network running throughout the country. Railways facilitate easy movement of police, troops, and defense equipments. Railways provide comfortable journey as the trains have enough space to stretch legs and move in the corridors. At night, one can sleep comfortably on the berths provided in the train. Rail travel is safer and comfortable for families with babies and elders. So these are all the advantages of railways. You have to remember at least 4 advantages of the railways, 4 advantages of the roadways, 4 of waterways, and 4 of airways. Disadvantages of the railways. Rail transport lacks flexibility of routes. Train tracks cannot be laid in every region of the country like the hilly areas or remote forested areas. Train travel can be very long and tedious, especially when compared to air travel. Train tracks cannot be laid in every industrial region, and trains have to travel to a station where the cargo is loaded from one form of transportation to another. Most industrial locations have roads leading to them, but not all of them have train tracks leading to them. The train which run on coal produce lot of air and noise pollution. Trains cannot cross the oceans. They are limited to land travel and cannot normally haul products from one continent to the other. These are all the disadvantages of railways. The next mode of transport is air transport. Air transport in India started with a 10-kilometer airmail operation between Allahabad and Naini in 1911. However, air transport made its progress only after India attained independence. At present, India has both domestic and international airlines. They carry passengers, freight and mail. ठीक है. Advantages of airways. Air transport is particularly significant for a country like India, in which, owing to her vast size, long distances have to be covered between important cities. It is the fastest and comfortable mode of transport. It connects the far flung and remote areas of the country. The speed and ease with which aeroplanes can cross mountain barriers, sandy deserts, large expanse of water or forests make the air transport indispensable. Air transport is of particular importance during natural calamities. It is used to airlift people from the affected areas and to airdrop food, medicines, and other necessary things to calamity affected people. Air transport also has some disadvantages. The disadvantage of airways are: air transport is costly, it is beyond the common man's reach. Air transport depends on weather conditions. Flights are often delayed due to bad weather. Air transport is run on petroleum, which is a non-perishable, which is a non-renewable source of energy. Air transport can carry small tonnage, but it has high freight charges. So it cannot carry heavy loads, but whatever load it carries, it costs very much. It costs very high. Then the next transport is water transport. India is endowed with an extensive network of waterways in the form of rivers, canals, backwaters, creeks, and a long coastline accessible through the sea and the oceans. Water transport can be divided into two categories: inland waterways and oceanic waterways. Inland waterways. Inland waterways include rivers, canals, backwaters, and creeks, which are deep enough to allow the ships and boats to navigate safely. These waterways must also be free of barriers such as waterfalls and rapids. These waterways must also be free of barriers such as waterfalls and rapids. However, the rivers of Peninsular India are not ideal for navigation. First, these rivers are seasonal and they are rain fed. Second, these rivers are comparatively shorter than the rivers of North India. Third, these rivers are marked by a number of waterfalls. Okay, so the Inland Waterways Authority has declared 5 inland waterways as national waterways. These are National Waterway number 1, NW1. It comprises Ganga, Bhagirathi, Hooghly river system, which connects Haldia, Kolkata, and Farka, Munger, Patna, Varanasi, Allahabad. National Waterway number 2, NW2. The river Brahmaputra connecting Dhubri, Pandu, Guwahati, and Tezpur, Niyamati, Dibrugarh, Sandhya, stretching to about 891 kilometers, was declared National Waterway in the year 1988. Then National Waterway number 3. It runs from Kollam to Kottapuram. It comprises 168 kilometers of West Coast Canal along the Champakara Canal and Udyog Mandal Canal. National Waterway number 4. It connects the states of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. National Waterway number 5. It comprises National Waterway number 4 connects the states of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and the Union Territory of Puducherry. National Waterway number 5. It comprises Talcher, Dharma stretch of river Brahmini, Gyon-Khali, Charbatiya stretch of East Coast Canal, Charbatiya Dharma stretch of Matai River along the Mahanadi Delta. It was declared a national waterway in 2008. National Waterway number 6. It is a proposed waterway between Lakhipur and Bhanga to Barak River. This was announced in the budget of 2013-14. The Inland Waterway Authorities of India will execute the project in 2 phases. The first will be completed in the year 2016-17 and the second by 2018-19. That means it should have been completed by now. Then oceanic waterways. India has a long coastline of 7,517 kilometers, forming one of the biggest peninsula in the world. It has 12 major ports and 187 notified minor and intermediate ports. The major ports handle over 80% of all cargo traffic. The classification of Indian ports into major and minor and intermediate has an administrative significance. Indian government has a federal structure, and according to the Constitution of India, maritime transport falls under the concurrent list, means both in the state government as well as in the central government. The major ports in India are Kolkata in West Bengal. It is a riverine port located on the bank of the Hooghly River. Haldia, again in West Bengal. This port has been developed on the river Hooghly to relieve pressure on Kolkata. Then Paradeep is in Odisha. It is located on the coast of Odisha and handles iron ore and coal. Visakhapatnam is in Andhra Pradesh. It is India's deepest landlocked port, handling crude oil and petroleum products. Chennai is in Tamil Nadu. It is the second largest port in terms of volume of traffic handled and is the oldest artificial harbour on the east coast of India. Tuticorin is in Tamil Nadu. This port is located on the east coast of India. It handles mainly coal, salt, edible oil, dry cargo and petroleum products. Kandla is in Gujarat. It is a tidal port and a free trade zone located on the eastern end of Run of Kutch. Mumbai is in Maharashtra. It is a natural harbour on the west coast and is also the biggest port in India. Jawaharlal Nehru Nava Seva port near Mumbai. It is the biggest ultra modern seaport of Mumbai. Marmago. It is a natural harbour located in Goa, situated on the entrance of the Zurai estuary in Goa. It occupies 5th position in terms of total traffic handled. New Mangalore is in Karnataka. It is located on the west coast of India. It handles the export of iron ore and of Kudremukh. Kochi is in Kerala. It is a natural harbour. It handles the export of tea, coffee and spices. Ennore Port. It is located about 24 km north of Chennai Port. It is the first port in India which is a public company. It is a corporate entity. Ennore Private Limited. Advantages of waterways. Waterways is the cheapest means of transport. It is most suitable for carrying heavy and bulky material. It is fuel efficient and eco-friendly mode of transport. Travel by ship and cruise liners is comfortable as it provides lot of space and other facilities concerning daily life like catering, medicines, doctors, communication, entertainment, sports, etc. Water transport is safe and has less traffic in comparison to roadways and airways. Disadvantages of waterways. It depends on weather conditions. It needs long traveling hours which causes seasickness. Water transport is limited to the areas where rivers are navigable and oceanic routes exist. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of waterways. So in the board exams they might ask you a comparative study in comparison with airways what are the advantages of roadways, or in comparison with railways, what is the advantage of roadways, or they might ask the advantages of waterways, disadvantage of waterways. So while studying, you have to pay more stress on advantages and disadvantages of all the modes of transport, and for especially for waterways, you have to know the major ports. They might ask you question based on the major ports of India, inland waterways, national waterway number 1. They might ask you all these questions. So I hope the chapter is clear enough for you all, and that you'll be able to answer questions such as distinguish between national highways and state highways, broad gauge and meter gauge, inland waterways and oceanic waterways. Okay. For the map work, we don't get questions relating to waterways, but we get questions based on rivers. So you have to learn the river map correctly, thoroughly.